Chicken Chicken and the Cheater Cheetahs, Part 2 of 15. The force vectors that acted upon the Southwick Vang span all 6 of the cheetahs decidedly and emphatically lacked cages, and said vector of the hurtling through the sky train, making a glancing blow to our van, also thrust open and ripped from its rollers the passenger side sliding door of said sprinter. Despite being raised in captivity, the cheetahs reacted instinctively, and in less time than is required for a dendrite to pass information from one synapse to the next, our cheetahs were literally out of there. Long, long ago, in a century far, far away, the ripcord sang a little ditty about a cobra being ready to strike, but our band of cheetahs was far faster and infinitely less reptilian than any silly Shelby, and before Tracy or Makula had gathered their wits, or our soon-to-be-introduced Yossarian had scrambled down into the sideways wheel-still-spinning van, Fob, who was closest to the now shattered to a powder glass that had moments earlier filled the pair of small windows in the van's double rear doors, had led the way to the exit, shouting as it were, "Come with me if you want to live," in heavily accented English as she dashed through the now painless window to freedom. Even though Fob spoke perfect English, her English was so heavily accented that the other cheetahs frequently found her very difficult to understand, and would often have to remind Fob to speak slowly and clearly so they could understand her. You see, Chicken Bob, Slob Rob, and Bab-Zooka had all either been born in captivity or captured as itty-bitty baby cubs, and grown up in American zoo speaking American. But Fupe had grown from a cub to a cat in what she insisted on calling der Zulixa Garten Berlin, auch bekannt als der Tierpark, a.k.a. the Berlin Zoo, for those cats out there who die kein Deutsch sprechen. Fob had grown up speaking Deutsch, a.k.a. German, so it was extremely fortunate that Fob had developed a penchant for repeating certain catchphrases. Thus, when the 5 cheetahs heard Fob urging them to go utilize one of her oft-repeated phrases, they went. A half-dozen cheetahs were, figuratively speaking, over the river and through the woods before grandmas, grandpas, or faux pas had been alerted via the emergency broadcast system's screeching introduction that preceded the short message that informed the masses that a train had derailed and was currently wreaking havoc on the Hutchinson River Parkway, long before our Samaritan Yossarian poked his head into the now void of Asionics Mercedes and inquired of Paula's and Mike's well-being. Though Yossarian was filled with good intentions, he had little, if any, idea how he would minister to any badly injured occupants of the clearly marked Zoomobile. Despite Yossarian having been forced to learn CPR and first aid decades back while still in high school in order to be a lifeguard at the Bloomfield Municipal Pool, plus having had significantly more advanced refresher courses in early 1991, he wasn't sure how much good versus how much harm he might do if those inside the van were severely injured. However, Yossarian, vaguely remembering having been told that even if he performed his assistance to those in need poorly, that his hind parts would still be covered legally by what is commonly referred to as Good Samaritan laws, so long as he provided reasonable care, took a deep breath, then heroically dropped down into the van. Dropping down into the van via the broken passenger window, Yossarian stood on the driver's side door with Mike slumped sideways in his seat at Yossarian's feet, while Paula's weight strained her combination shoulder harness and lap belt, while what would normally be, from her perspective, the left side armrest of her bucket seat dug into her waist from what was currently her downside vis-a-vis her sideways down semi-conscious slump. "Help me," Paula managed to say. "Get me down." Yeah, I will," Yossarian said, nodding as he spoke. "But there's a guy down at our feet that you'll land on, so I think I need to move him first." "Mike?" Paula asked with greater urgency. "Can you hear me?" "Yeah," Mike said. "I hear ya. Let me get out of the way. What the heck happened?" "You got hit by a flying train, man," Yossarian replied, genuflecting among the shattered safety glass such that his left knee, along with the tip of his left sneaker and the sole of his right shoe, supported him in his face-to-face proximity with our driver in distress. "I saw it coming towards you and yelled, but you couldn't hear me." "A flying train?" Mike asked. "And you yelled? From where?" "Up on the merge ramp. Traffic on the Hutchinson was heavy, so we were just crawling forward on the ramp. Lucky for me, after the train flipped, there was a big pileup behind you, but since we were already going slow, nobody slammed into me. I pulled my car over to the shoulder and climbed out. That's when a little bird told me you needed help, so I slid underneath the train and came trotting over. Hear them sirens? Flying train, Mike repeated, head groggy from his train-delivered Mr. Miyagi slap-on, slap-off 1-2 punch. Yeah, I hear him. Help me out. Out of the seat. You okay, Paula? I think so, but super uncomfortable. Can you move? I think so, Mike moaned again, unclipping his seatbelt and reaching his right hand upwards towards Yossarian. Hand, he added. It is, Yossarian confirmed, simultaneous to understanding that Mike was asking for a hand up as opposed to merely naming body parts, as he again stood upright. Yeah, here, he added, before bending at the waist in preparation of helping Mike out of his seat. You sure you should move? No, Mike moaned, shaking his head minutely, but I'm gonna. Give me that hand. Yossarian gave Mike his hand, and with Yossarian's help, Mike slowly rose and stood in the very cramped space. Thanks, Mike said as Yossarian helped him to his feet. You're welcome, Yossarian replied, wondering if maybe Mike was a Jeopardy champion because he kept expressing himself in the form of a question. You okay? Both Yossarian and Paula asked of Mike. Yossarian's a sincere but obligatory inquiry, while Paula's was filled with heartfelt concern. Think so, Mike said with a nod, first of confirmation, then one towards the space between his seat and Paula's they would have to climb over to get from the front passenger area of the van to the cargo space behind. Tell me your name. Oh, Yossarian, Yossarian replied, smiling and nodding repeatedly as he came to comprehend Mike's use of question marks while speaking. Nice to meet you, Yossarian. And thanks, hand? He asked again of Yossarian, requesting assistance in clambering between the two front seats to retreat to the cargo hold of the van and give Yossarian and Paula room. Yeah, Yossarian replied immediately, now that Mike had used hand in the same way. I'll help you then. Get down, Paula, right? Yes, my name is Paula. Hurry if you can. This hurts. A declaration that got Mike scrambling to the back of the van to get out of the way, and where he watched Yossarian study the best way to help Paula down. I could try to lift you down. You could get on my shoulders, or I could kneel and you could step on my back. Which one do you think makes the most sense for you? Paula exhaled hard, then said, Why don't you get on all fours and I'll slip down that way? I may drop, though. Don't worry about me, Yossarian said as he knelt among the safety glass. Just do your best. Okay, Paula said, concurrent to the click that accompanied the unfastening of her safety belt, a sound that immediately preceded her tumbling on top of Yossarian and squashing them both down hard on what normally was the van's driver's side door, but which currently served as its floor. Oh my gosh, Paula said, contorted and disoriented, declared. Sorry, are you okay? Yeah, Yossarian moaned. I'm okay, but think you can get off of me? Sure, Paula said as she shimmied off Yossarian, stood, then joined Mike in the back of the van. A reunion narrated by a loud, shrill, extended scream.